there's nothing worse, is there? You've hit a good drive, you've got your favourite 3-wood, or not so much if you're watching this video, or fairway wood out, good lie, and you just can't strike it. You kind of hit halfway at the ball, you top it, hit 3 inches behind, and hitting a good one with the fairway wood's like finding that golden ticket. Well, I'm going to talk to you today about the one thing you cannot do with fairway woods if you're going to hit them well every single time. So, once the golf ball is on the floor, and I've spoken about this a lot with irons and maybe not done so much on fairway woods, is that when you look kind of face on with your golf swing, you can see that that club moves in a circular motion around the body. So what we need is the club moves up at one point, down, reaches its lowest point, and then travel up. So what you need to do with every shot on the floor is get your low point ahead of the golf ball so that the club's moving down. We present the middle of the club face to the golf ball, and the ball goes in the air. Now the big problem for a lot of golfers is they get told that they need to sweep the ball away. And what they'll tend to do with that is they'll tend to find that that low point is behind the golf ball. So a great example I will see is golfers set up, they get told, get the ball forward, feel like you sweep it away. And I've managed to get the club on that one. Low point 0.7 inches behind. So I've got the club moving dead level. We can see on TrackMan there, 0.0. Launched at 11.9, carried 200 yards, rolled out 230. So that's an exceptionally good one. But that was so close to being poor. And I think that's what, if you're watching this video, what you probably struggle with. You do hit some good shots, and in your head, you're telling yourself that that sweeping effect works really, really well. But it doesn't, does it? So what we're going to try and work on is we're going to have a few practice swings where we're going to imagine the ball is in line there, but we're going to try and touch the ground ahead of the ball. And the couple of ways we can do that is we can move that ball position a little bit more towards centre, and like with the shots on the floor, we're going to feel like the hips just move a little bit towards target so there's a bit more pressure in that lead foot. We're going to do a couple of practice swings. And I can see there that I probably touched the ground about an inch ahead, but the low point there would have been maybe 3.5 inches ahead. Let's do that again. Bump the hips, pressure on the lead foot, transfer the weight. Now that felt absolutely perfect. The key thing is, can I do it when the golf ball's there? The $1 million question. So I've got that set up right. Felt more solid. So we can see 0.7 inches ahead. The club's moved down 1.4 inches. Now, even though the club's traveling down, I've hit higher up the club face, so the ball's launched at 12.3 degrees, carried 224, and total 250. Right, so I think we can agree that was a very different shot, wasn't it? Now, if you're enjoying this video, I'd love it if you hit that subscribe button before, because I called everyone out the other week about lots of you watching but not subscribing, and I want to say thank you, because that video had the highest number of subscribers in its first 2 weeks I've ever had. Let's see if this one can beat it. So click the subscribe button, ring the bell, and we're going to be flying towards those 100,000 subscribers. So again, we're going to set up. We're going to make sure we get the low point ahead of the golf ball, get the club moving down. I'm not saying we're trying to hit down, because that's very destructive, but if the low point's ahead, the club's travelling down. If the low point's behind, the club's travelling up. Now that's beautiful if you're hitting driver off a tee, not so good on the floor. So we're going to set up, ball not quite as far forward, feel that pressure's more into that lead leg, and swing. Not my best one, curving a little bit more to the left, but again, 1.4 inches ahead, 2 degrees down, launched a bit lower, therefore I'll lose a little bit on carry, but nearly 250 again for total. Now, even if you run through this, undoubtedly you will still get that odd one where it's a little tight line, not too much grass under the ball, and your brain will be thinking, I need to get under the ball. As soon as you try and get under the ball, you're going to contact back here or miss the ground back here, and the club travel up and hit the ball. So again, it does take practice. And what I would say is for some of you watching, 3-wood, you actually might not have enough speed to actually hit the great shot. So obviously I'm swinging around about 100 mile an hour, but if I were to swing slower with this technique with 3-wood, my low point too far ahead, club travelling down too much, launching almost like a putter, and not rolling out. So that if you're going to use 3-wood, you do need to have a certain amount of speed, but this equally would work well with a 4-wood, a 5-wood, or a 7-wood. And predominantly if you're watching this, it might be because you're not great with 3-wood. Don't worry, but if you also struggle with the 5 and the 7, this is perfect. Stick to that and they'll hit the ball further. But if you've got some speed, like we said, let's make sure, even focus a little bit ahead, like I talk a lot with my clients about. So ball not as far forward, bump that weight into the lead hip, focus slightly ahead of the golf ball. Aim a little right for me on this one. Then aim right and don't quite draw it back. But again, little lower on the face with the strike. 1.5 inches ahead, 2 degrees down, launching at 10 degrees, and a much better carry at 232 and 250. Now, I think for me personally as a golfer, I don't have to hit fairway wood very often. But for a lot of the golfers I see face to face, and I'm sure this is true with you, if it is, comment below. If you don't hit the ball a huge distance, that ability to hit your fairway woods for second shots could be the biggest change and improvement in your game that you could make. You might find that you get off the tee and you're decent with your irons, but if you've always got 200 yards plus into the greens, these clubs become really, really important. And because most golfers really focus on just sweeping the ball away, they find when they're on a tee or on a little fluffy bit of grass, they're very good. Because really the ball's in the air, and when the ball's in the air, you can get away with the low point being behind and the club travelling up. But when the ball's on the floor, you've absolutely got to run through what we've discussed, set yourself up, put a good swing on it, and really start ripping those 3-woods. We can see 1/2 inch ahead, a degree down, launching at 11 degrees, 241 carry, and 260 total. Now, I'll be honest, I would say I've been playing golf, we'll say a number of years. Because of the sweeping idea through the bottom, certainly as a junior, and even when I first turned pro, I couldn't put a 3-wood in my bag, even with my speed, because my impact was wrong because of that poor knowledge. So what we need to do is take that correct knowledge, put some practice in. Unfortunately, can't click those fingers, and we go from being behind to being ahead. But if you work on that and practice it, this will absolutely get you hitting the best fairway woods from the floor most consistently that you've ever hit. So guys, hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, like it and share it. Comment below and I'll get back to as many people as I can. Hopefully catch up with you down here soon. Stay in contact.